I feel like I can say that Dave the Dive was an industry plan, dude. Look at all these connections. The minute he's with Ichiban from Yakuza, the next Mia X2, like what the is this? Where's he getting these connections from, dude? Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan. Joining me as always is my good friend Hunter. Hey Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Are you? Are you really? I feel like it's been one of those weeks, pal. I feel like it's been one of those weeks where everything hasn't been that swell.
Oh, you know.
Make it do.
They come and go.
But, well, you know, this week has felt like it's dragged on forever. It's felt like it has been exhausting. And, you know, the state of play didn't help, if I'm honest with you. That state of play is like, oh, I wish you didn't. Why'd you bother? Do we have to do this again? Do we have to do this? The Sony, is modern Sony well and truly washed? Is this what we're doing yet again? Another wrap around the sun? Like, let's do it, I guess. But, man, it just kind of, it's been one of those weeks, ladies and gentlemen. It's been one of those weeks. But come on in, anybody. Anyway, let's discuss what's happened over the past week. We'll talk about this state of play. What's been happening, how we're feeling about Sony in general recently. We're basically doing a double bill really at this point. And then we'll talk about some random wacky. I can't speak today. This is the kind of week that we're talking
Wacky
about.
topic.
Wacky random topic. Later on, timestamps below, if you don't want to talk about the state of play with us. But hey, if you're new here, welcome on into the Show Podcast. We're here every Monday at around 12 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern on podcast. That's the wrong way round. I can't do this today, Hunter. What is wrong with me? I'm losing it. On podcast services everywhere, youtube.com/hotgamers. Flip those round. It's just one of those weeks. I'm exhausted. It's one of those weeks. Please let me be. Can't you see? The hood is up.
Kyle,
you know.
come back. We're a mess without you.
Yeah, where's Kyle? Goblins, give him back. I can't function anymore. But yeah, you know it's a bad week when my hood's up, because that basically just means that I've rolled out of bed and I'm like, oh, well, let's go. I guess we'll try it. We'll try and do a podcast. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? Yeah. What's that? I've got to talk about another Monster Hunter Wilds trailer. Oh, thank God for that. Ugh, right. Housekeeping for you. As always, Kyle's got a new article up on the website. If you haven't checked that out already, we've got reviews out. If you haven't checked those out. And obviously, we'll be getting into some new games over the course of the next couple of weeks. I'll probably give Avowed a little bit of a go, so if you want some impressions of Avowed, come back next week. Also, if you want impressions of Lost Records Bloom and Rage, I guess I'm playing it now. I've got no choice. It's free.
I'll probably give it a whirl now, too.
It's free. So, yeah, double bill next week. Actual new game releases. Thank PlayStation for that, I guess. It's really nice, though, to be honest, because I was like, I do not have the money to be wasting on anything. One of my friends really wants me to get into Monster Hunter because they've all been getting into Monster Hunter. And I'm like, dude, I do not have $70 to be going in on one of these excursions again, because you did this with me with Helldivers last year and we played it for about a week and a half and then never again. I do not have this money at the moment. Please leave me be.
Yeah.
But hey, if it's on extra, I'll give it a go. Why not? We'll see. You know, Life is Strange was a bit tumultuous the last time around, so let's see what Don't Not have up their sleeves, I guess. So you can find out all about that next week. Let's just get straight into the main topic of the show, I guess, because why not? Obviously, my my speaking functions are degrading rapidly, so let's get to the meat as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
State of play. Should we ever be excited for a state of play, Hunter? Has there been a good state of play in recent memory?
There was exactly one. And it was a couple of years ago by now. Was the one with the, Resident Evil 4 remake reveal, the Street Fighter. It wasn't a reveal for Street Fighter 6, but it was, the first, substantial showing it got.
Mm-hmm.
It had that was where I saw Rollerdrome for the first time. And I think it capped off with the new Final Fantasy 16 trailer. That one, that's still, in my head, the best state of play they've had. Mostly because I can think back to it and go, that was pretty good. The rest of these have been... I still don't think that they've hit the lows of, Diofield Chronicle and Exoprimal from I think the year prior to that.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe it was earlier in that same year, actually. I don't remember, but
It was something
that
similar.
that
But
was that one was rough, and I don't think they've ever hit that low again.
I mean, I think my issue with state of plays in general is, you obviously want to compare them to Nintendo Directs because they're the closest comparison that we have for something like this. Because Xbox doesn't really do these. They have the Dev Direct and they usually have like their E3 show, and then that's they'll show up at random places like Tokyo Game Show and stuff like that. But they don't really have a here's a quarterly update thing that everybody else seems to have. And the difference is, in my mind anyway, and correct me if you think differently, Hunter, is with the Nintendo Direct, you have a load of highlight reels of stuff coming in the next 3 to 6 months, which is always great. And the thing about Switch is it's not a regular console in the sense of you can assume that everything's going to come to it. So, if you see a Yakuza game or something show up, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool that that community gets to actually get a game
Yeah,
for,
or
once
like
in a while.
Persona and Nier a couple years ago was a big deal for the Switch.
And then it's supplemented with a load of Nintendo first party games where usually you have one at the start, one in the middle, or two in the middle, and then one at the end, right? And it's like, oh, these are Nintendo games that are coming out. That's cool. State of Play has obviously taken a lot of lessons on we need to start promoting stuff from everybody that is coming out in the next couple of months. And I'm like, okay, tick, 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 tick. That's fine. But there's nothing of substance from PlayStation themselves bar one game at the fucking end where you're
Yeah.
like, and that's coming out 2026. It's like there's nothing there from a PlayStation perspective. This to me was just like, oh yeah, here's all the trailers that for everything that's coming to PlayStation and Steam and
Yeah,
Xbox, I guess, in the next couple of
this was one
months.
of those we have a marketing obligation to fulfill
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
we've
directs
seen
or yeah.
we've seen multiple multiple of these games we have seen in quite literally like dozens of places, like dozens of places.
Yeah.
I have seen enough of Monster Hunter Wilds. I have seen enough of Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. As much as I love Yakuza, I've seen enough of that. Dave the Diver shows up in every fucking state of play. That is now just a
This is just
token
he's
pick,
just
yeah, for that
here.
one. Yeah, I have seen plenty of uh I've seen, Borderlands, fair enough, it got a date or whatever, but it's like there's just a lot of stuff where I'm like, Lost Records. I've seen this stuff 6 bajillion times, and it's coming out next week. Like, my
Yeah.
gosh, it just kind of gets repetitive and boring. And when I missed the first half of the state of play, and I was like sending to you, hey guys, what did you miss? And you were like, you missed Monster Hunter Wilds, Borderlands 4, and like Split Fiction. I'm like, cool. I didn't miss anything then because I already know about these
Yeah.
guys. Like, we're fine. Um, it's just really weird and it's really interesting to me because it's like, who are these shows for? Who are these shows for is the big question. Like that I always ask
Got no
myself
idea. As far as like a consumer audience, I have zero clue.
because in my mind, it's only hardcore fans who actually watch these things that actually care, right? People will make the argument of, oh, but people might not have watched the Game Awards or whatever. They might not know about Borderlands 4 coming and stuff like that. I'm like, well, neither will my casual friend. They don't even know what a fucking state of play is. Like, I had
Yeah,
one
they're
friend
more
that was like,
likely
isn't PlayStation's thing happening today? And I'm like, yeah, state of play 10 o'clock because I'm sad and I know these things. Like, they don't know this.
I would wager that the regular bloke is probably more likely to just kind of see a trailer for one of these things pop up on YouTube.
Or Twitter or Blue
Yeah.
Sky or wherever, and it's what Kyle from the mine said himself in return. It could have been an email, it could have been a tweet, and there was some stuff the next day that was a tweet, and I was like, didn't show that. Okay, um, but let's get into them because there is some interesting stuff here. Obviously, at least a couple of things where I'm like, oh, that's cool.
There were a couple of things I did think looked pretty cool, yeah.
So we're not going in. Is this in order of what they were shown, or is this just a
Yeah.
general? Okay, cool. So here's the rundown for the state of play, and we'll give you our impressions. It's as simple as that. Show opened with Monster Hunter Wilds getting its launch trailer. This game comes out in 2 weeks, and I think I've seen 26 trailers for Monster Hunter Wilds.
They'll find another they will invent another show to show you this game again in
No
another
need to,
week.
Hunter. No need to. It's called the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation when they announced that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch
Well,
2
yeah,
at
that's
launch.
true.
Uh,
Uh,
this game looks fantastic. It will be fantastic. I don't know why Capcom feels the need to put so many damn trailers out every single time. I'm like, yeah, this
yeah, I
game
think
looks
the Monster
nice.
Hunter freaks are sold already. I think they were sold like 7 trailers ago.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's just one of those. It's gonna sell a bajillion copies. Everyone's gonna be happy. It's gonna be a great game, no doubt on that.
Yeah,
Does that need to be an opener? That's the thing to me is I'm like, why are you opening on something that's out in
I
2
feel
weeks?
like it's like I guess state of plays don't really have like sizzle reels, but this feels like if this were
I think at the end,
if
this is
this
a
were
real at the end.
yeah, if this were a direct, it would have been like a sizzle reel thing, you
Here
know?
are some upcoming highlights from the yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they play the most cheesy kind of copyright free music of all time as they go on. Um yeah, it Monster Hunter's Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is fantastic. And I think, I think people were a bit delusional, to be honest, who are expecting Resident Evil 9 to be here, to be honest, because I'm like, I don't think it's. A lot of people seem to be in the ballpark, like, in the camp that Resident Evil 9 is on its way. And I'm like, it could be. I feel like if it was coming out in the first half of this year, we would have heard about it by now. I feel
I
like if it was
feel
coming out this year, we would have heard about it by
yeah,
now
yeah.
because
Things on the Resident Evil in I mean, I'm speaking generally, not specifically about 9, but about whatever direction they want to go in. They've been quiet for a while now, so I wouldn't have been surprised to hear about something. I don't think that I was expecting to hear about something that was coming this year.
maybe I'm just a bit. Because we'll get to Saros later, but when Saros was
Yeah,
shown, I was like, oh, Housemarque. I didn't think it was time to see you guys yet. And then I'm sitting in my head, I'm like, no, Returnal was 2021. Like, it's been 4
yeah.
years. It is time. Like, I feel like we're just being conditioned now that games take 6 million years to make. So it's like, in my head, I'm still laughing at Naughty Dog not releasing a game. And I'm sitting here going, yo, Housemarque might beat them to the punch on a second one. Like, like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so yeah, I just think people like. I think obviously, I think Resident Evil 9 will 100% be next year. Like that's one of those things where it's like that's just yeah, of course. It's been it'll have been 4 years then since Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
Of course, that's probably the right time frame. But this February state of play, I'm like, bro, that would have leaked. We would have heard about Resident Evil by now if Resident Evil was showing up. Let's be real.
That's
Let's
that's the
be
thing too. Is so many
honest
like
with ourselves.
rumors, leaks, whatever about. I feel like I hear that kind of noise about every facet of what Resident Evil could do, where it'd be hard to like take any of them seriously until an announcement.
I feel like it's one of those games you just gotta wait for it to happen because there's a leak about Resident Evil 9
Yeah,
every other month. Like,
yeah, yeah.
wasn't
Like
there
9
wasn't
or
there a leak a couple of
remake for
months? Yeah,
one.
there was a. I can't remember what the last Resident Evil 9 one was. It was something to do with I think Leon again, something like that. It was
Oh
like
yeah, it'd
Leon's
be like,
back.
oh, ho ho ho! It's gonna
Which
be
seems to be the one
Leon
for
and
every
Jill.
fucking like every Resident Evil game seems to have a leak at some point where it's like, guys, oh Chris is back, and then it's like, oh okay, and then you get to Village, and then he's obviously yes,
Hmm.
he's very much a part of Village, but not in the way that I think the leaks originally suggested when everyone was like, Chris is back. I think everyone was like, yeah, fuck Ethan off, like get him in the bin.
Yeah,
Um, but keep dreaming, guys. Maybe later in the year. Maybe it's a summer thing. Maybe it's like a summer game
I could
fest, like
see it
PlayStation
being a summer
Showcase, and then they
thing.
announce it for like spring 2026. Like that seems like a thing that would happen to me.
That's exactly what happened with Resi 4's remake.
Yeah.
Was
Let
it
it
was
simmer
basically
a bit,
announced a year
guys.
out.
Let it
And
simmer a
yeah,
bit.
I'm not upset because like Resident Evil 4 was 2 years ago at this point, getting close to it
That's
anyway.
crazy. That's
I like
absolutely crazy.
I like that there's a bit of a gap. I don't think that it needs to be an annual thing every year. You know, take your
No.
time with it.
But anyway, after Monster Hunter Wilds showed up again, we had a Shinobi Art of Vengeance shown.
I took a second. I didn't process that they had showed me the Sega logo for this one before the trailer happened. So I was sitting there thinking this was like some weird uh thing for like the Ninja Gaiden game that was shown
Yeah.
off a while back. And then I realized that it wasn't. I'm like, oh wait. Sega has a ninja game.
I think it's very
But this looks
interesting that
pretty good.
Sega is going out of their way to try and use every single one of their kind of dormant IPs at the moment. Like they're going out of their way. You know, you got the Sega Super
Yeah.
project of, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, everything is just they're trying everything to bring back everything, see what
Yeah, I
sticks.
think this was or at least as far as I'm aware, the first one of those with like a date
Yeah,
at the moment. So if assuming that assuming that they're not gonna like date and release another one before this one's prescribed date, because that'd be weird. This will
I
be the
doubt
first one
it.
that comes out. Yeah,
I doubt
and
it. I think Jet Set Radio is the next one, if I'm correct. That's like was originally supposed to be next year in the
mm,
leaks. So yeah, this would be like,
but no, this looks pretty good.
yeah,
I like its art style for sure. It looks like it's you know pace is very quick as well.
yeah, totally. We'll have to see how it does for them. It's interesting. Sega's in a very interesting space where they have so much IP, and so much. What I like about Sega that a lot of publishers don't seem to be doing at the moment is they're perfectly happy to make budget or mid-sized games and just kind of go with them and let people do it. Like Pirate
Yeah,
Yakuza in Hawaii, or a couple of years ago, like a Dragon guy, the man that erased his name or whatever. They let them do all the Persona spin-off games. They let them do the smaller projects and stuff like that. Whereas it seems like a lot of publishers nowadays are literally just like big or go home. Like, make me the big expensive version or don't fucking bother. It's kind of nice for them to just go, cheap's cheap. If you want to make a cheaper
yeah.
game, go for it. Uh, Speaking of cheaper games, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds finally got a trailer that wasn't just a 5-second CG of a car. Um, this is one of those ones where I sit there and I'm like, so why did you show that trailer at the Game Awards? Because this game is coming out. It is coming. There's a beta test either this week or next week, and it's scheduled to come out like later in like May or something like that. So it's like this game. Why do you do that thing where it's like here's a 5-second teaser and the game seems more further out than you think it is, and then literally 2 months later, yeah, here's a gameplay thing and it's out in a couple
Dude,
of months.
there's that first Berserker game that has that demo that's came out at like the start of the year that I was wondering the same thing about because it had a trailer at the Game Awards that was just like a CG thing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
didn't have any gameplay, and I was kind of sitting there going, "What even is this?" And then when it was like there was a demo, and I'm like, "This is coming out soon. Why didn't this have just the CG introduction kind of thing?"
It's very bizarre, but this is interesting to me because it looked like from the little bit that we saw that they're going back to the Sonic and All Stars Racing transformed kind of gameplaying as opposed to Team Sonic Racing, which I'm very much happy about because I think Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed might be one of the most underrated kart races of all time. I think it's very good. I think it's incredibly funny that Sonic's trying a racing game again after it got over when it got outsold by CTR last time. They're like, "Oh, we'll give it another shot," and Mario Kart 9's
And
coming out the
now
same year.
Mario,
That is just
that's
kind of that's
hilarious.
Horizon luck right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we call the Horizon effect. Um,
I feel like maybe they should have just tried again a little sooner.
yeah, they should have. It's been like what,
Because,
5 years?
yeah,
That's crazy. Sonic is usually, but it looks from the little bit I've seen, it looks like a much better product so far than Team Sonic Racing ever did. Uh, I think it's interesting that they seem to tease that they're going to be doing Sega stuff on top of that. So I think this is just internally like Sonic and All Stars Racing 3. I think that's basically what this game is. It'll be
yeah,
interesting to see if they actually go into it a little bit more, if they add Sega characters, because they did some fun stuff with Transformed, where you had Jet Set Radio and Samba de Amigo and a load of random IP. But Sega's got so much.
Patrick.
Yeah, Sega's got so much IP, and it's got a lot more. Its IP's a lot more substantial in terms of the cultural
Yeah, the
zeitgeist now
IP
that
has a lot more
you can have
equity now.
Yakuza, you can have Persona in there now, and it would be more of a,
Yeah,
oh, that's cool, rather than a, back when in 2013 when All Stars Racing came out, Yakuza like people were struggling to get Yakuza 5 across seas, right? Like it was stuck
yeah.
in Japan. So it's like it's kind of funny now that they're in a better place where Jet Set Radio is coming out in the next year or so, and
I wouldn't
Crazy
be
Taxi, it's a bit more relevant.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Sega characters in general just show up in that. Like they were putting Kiryu and Monkey Ball and
That was
stuff,
funny
weren't
though.
they?
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Morgana too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I think if it's out before, it needs to be out before Mario Kart. That game needs to be out before Mario Kart. It just needs to be, and I hope it is, because you've got no chance in hell of getting that game
Yeah.
like any kind of sales if that's out afterwards. Like it's just not gonna happen. But we'll see. We'll see. Next up, Digimon Story Time Stranger. This is what made it feel like a Nintendo Direct, because I was like, what the fuck is this doing in a PlayStation
I
State of
checked out
Play?
of this one. Like I think I got up and grabbed a drink and came back and didn't really pay attention for
Do
the rest of
people
the
still
trailer.
care about Digimon? Like
They keep making
in
these
my head,
games.
fans of Digimon were people that grew up with it, so it's just a bunch like Digimon to me is what Pokemon would be if Pokemon didn't manage to latch on to the following generation. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're
Yeah,
still
yeah, I know
making
what you
these
mean.
children's games for a bunch of 30-year-olds and only these 30-year-olds. And I'm just sitting there going,
Mm,
it doesn't even look particularly good. Why are you making this? Like, it looked like kind of mediocre to me. Also, why is there only that one Digimon that looks like the dinosaur? Where like they it's been like what, 20 years?
Where's the rabbit with the machine gun hands?
It's been 30 years or whatever of Digimon, like something ridiculous. Why are they still attached to their Pikachu and only their Pikachu? Like, where is everything
To
else?
to be fair, it's not like Pokemon has come much further as far as
At
brand
least Pikachu
identity.
isn't on the box of every Digimon, like, but that fucking dinosaur is every Digimon cover ever, dude. Like, can you imagine if it was like Pokemon Yellow 5, Pokemon Yellow 6, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it's Pikachu with a shield? Like, imagine that.
Oh
Like,
man,
you know.
yeah.
But yeah, I did not care for Digimon. I'm sorry, Digimon fans. I do not care for it. Or that game. It looked kind of mid. Um, Lost Soul Aside was next.
Oh yeah, I've been interested in this game for a while. The first I ever saw of this was I saw a trailer for it sometime around the same time that the first Stellar Blade trailer dropped, like that
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of ballpark, not necessarily like the exact same time. But and apparently it's been in development for even longer than that. Like
That's crazy.
this guy's been making the game for like close to 10 years from what I understand. But I think this looks really cool as far as someone who enjoys action games like this. I think the way he was moving around like outside of the combat, like the movement, he was like there was a cool little dash and surf thing he did in the trailer that looked really neat, for example, and I think the combat itself also does look like it'll be a fun time. I think they're probably gonna push the date since it's coming out the same day as the Elden Ring Night Rain.
Yeah,
But
that's just a bye bye.
even if they don't, I'll be there to play it.
It just, yeah, it's cool, man. Again, I don't know what it is right now with video games, but I'm feeling that stagnation with everything trying to be FromSoft in design. So it's like to see something that's just, looked like an action game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an actual action game that wasn't just, hey, those don't sell as well anymore, so let's add the FromSoft elements to try and get people to play it. It just looked like a good action game. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. It's weird that that's now a rarity. You know what I mean? Like it feels weird that it's like that.
I feel like we're getting closer to those coming back more often.
I
A
hope
lot of
so.
them are kind of straddling elements between the two, where uh, like Phantom Blade Zero looks like it goes as fast as like a action game, but it
Yeah.
seems to have some of the from Softian elements about it. Or like Stellar Blade somehow, despite only really having in common with those the enemies respawn when you rest at a checkpoint,
Yeah.
gets smacked with the FromSoft like stick sometimes, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But
I don't know,
you
Hunter.
know,
I'm just jaded because we were promised a future where everyone was like, "Oh, here we go. Everyone's gonna copy Breath of the Wild," and
no
that
one
didn't
did.
happen. Everybody copied fucking Elden Ring, and it's like, "Oh, okay, we're doing this. Okay."
Yeah,
It's fun in bursts, man. But it's like it's like it's almost like RPG fatigue from like the '90s, where it was like every like there was so many RPGs that were coming out in the 90s, and then like in the 2000s there was almost like a lot of people were like, I don't want to play a lot of these unless it's like a big Final Fantasy. I don't want to play all these random RPGs, right? Because everyone
yeah,
kind of got burnt out. And I feel it's like the same way here, where it's like, listen, there's a couple that do it really well, like Lies of P, which we'll get to, which I think is fantastic because they went in with that goal. But there seems to be just so many games that just chuck it on as an afterthought of like, we're making an action game. I guess we have to add Souls like mechanics to it. And it just ends up
yeah.
just like not gelling. And I'm just like, ugh. I just want to stay away from action games. It might be because I've just not played all the Souls games yet either. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I've still got the good stuff to play. I don't need all this second-hand FromSoft shite, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need these cheap-ass imitations, dude. I've still got the main cores coming up. Like, I've still got all those Dark Souls games to play. Um, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is coming out quite literally in the next couple of weeks as well.
I
This
think it'll
game,
be like
yeah,
this week as far as when
the podcast
the
goes out.
yeah.
Sorry, Yakuza fans. Once again, I'm still behind. I have not caught up on my ever-going quest. To be fair, compared to this time last year, I think I didn't do too bad last year. How many games did I play last year? I think I played 3 and 4. So it's like, I'm getting there. 5 I just heard is really long and really fucking mediocre. So I'm like, I'm putting that one
Mm.
off. Like, that's my problem. I feel like once we get past that, we're over the hump. We're
Yeah.
getting close. One day, maybe we'll get to a point where on this podcast I'll be able to play a Yakuza game when it comes out. Who knows? Man can dream. It looks like fun though. It looks like goofy fun. Like I'm always impressed with Yakuza and with Ryogo Kotoko as a studio because they manage to churn these games out every year, but they're always really good. Like you can't. There's not a bad Yakuza game. There just isn't really. Maybe Yakuza Dead Souls from like the Xbox 360 era, but like they don't make
And
a
it
bad one
seems
of
like they
these.
don't stop being insane either,
No,
is the impressive thing. Like, they never
because
have to recharge to come up with crazier ideas. They just keep they just keep doing things like, Yakuza Pirate Man.
yeah, it's goofy fun, and it's like if you look back, we go back a while, and it's like I remember people used to always complain about how Saints Row 3 and 4 went stupid and goofy, and I was like, yeah, but that's what kind of made them fun. Because everybody was trying to be GTA, and they were just like, it's not working. Let's just add random shit. Yeah, you have superpowers in this one. I was like, sometimes just being insane is kind of based. It's kind of great. Like
Yeah.
Saints Row 4 has a lot of the mentality of the Yakuza games where it's like they just copied the same world over and they were just like, let's just make some stupid gameplay stuff and just have a lot of fun with it. And Yakuza does the same thing where it's like we've been using the same version of these maps that they've had. I think they're using the Hawaii map from Yakuza 8 that they made for that. But we've been running around the same districts of Japan in Yakuza from the first one, and they very rarely changed it. But they make the story so interesting and they just go all out with it. It's like I kind of like that. It's a good way to cut
Yeah.
down on dev time is smart reuse of assets. I think it's a really good idea if you're wanting to do games like that. I think it's kind of cool. Um, the only problem is if you want to catch up on Yakuza, you've got like a laundry list of video games to play. Uh,
Yeah.
and it doesn't help that, as far as I'm concerned, still Yakuza 0, still the best one. You still start off with the peak. Um, Speaking of, Dave the Diver, Ichiban's Holiday DLC for Dave the Diver. He is collecting those collaborations like Thanos and Infinity Stones, dude. He is just like getting
He's
them
been
all in his gauntlet.
Dave the Diver is slowly like approaching 2B levels of just showing up. Or well, I guess he's inviting other people to his game rather than
Yeah.
2B goes to other games.
Dude, I feel like I can say this now. I
When's
think we're in
that
a
collaboration gonna happen?
it's coming.
2B and Dave the Diver.
I think I'm
Uh,
in the I feel I'm comfortable enough now to say that I think that Dave the Diver's an industry plant, dude. Look at all these connections. Where's he getting these connections from, dude? It's like 1 minute he's with Ichiban from Yakuza, the next one he's with like Mia X2. Like, what the fuck is this? This is an industry plant ass character, dude. Like, my
in a week,
goodness.
we're gonna see a picture on Hideo Kojima's social media being like hung out with Dave the Diver
Yeah,
today.
basically, yeah, dude. I can't wait for the
Uh,
Dave the Diver cross Kojima DLC. It's not even Death
yeah.
Stranding; it's just Kojima. Oh, one day Kojima shows up at Dave's bar.
Uh,
How great! Like, it's very funny. But hey, more DLC for you if you care for it. I still need to play Dave the Diver. It's still on my backlog. I've got it. I bought it
yeah.
a couple of Steam sales ago, so I'll get to it. I think it's on PS Extra and stuff now. I've
Yeah,
waited so
it's
long to play it.
no extra charge if you have the second tier of that.
Splitgate 2 got another trailer in things that are just existing. That's the Portal kind of first person shooter thing. I always
Yeah,
think it looks
good
fun.
for yeah, good for them. That looks more neat than the average online shooter to me anyway, because Portal Traversal is cool.
Yep. WWE 2K25 got a trailer. Who fucking cares?
Dude, I was not ready for that to usually these things are like in their own kind of marketing bubble
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the wrestling nerds are gonna buy them and that's all they really need to appeal to. So I wasn't ready for to be harassed by this elsewhere.
But it's here. And I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, I always feel like WWE, to me anyway, is the most video gamey of these games, you know?
It's the one that makes the most sense to show up in something like this. Like,
Totally.
there's a lot of crossover between, video game nerds and wrestling, whereas advertising, sports games is a little weirder.
Yeah, totally. Borderlands 4 got a trailer. That game is coming out in September, ladies and gentlemen. Which, if you had asked me before that trailer, hey Ethan, when do you think Borderlands is going to come out? I probably would have said something along the lines of, it's probably going to be September because that's when Borderlands 3 came out. Like, it's like these things are clockwork, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard to figure out when something is going to sit. Like, I could have
Yeah.
told you that one beforehand. And I've got to hand it to Randy Pitchford and the team over there working on Borderlands 4. Whoever came up with the concept of making a Borderlands game and removing the shitty humor, so all you have left is the shitty gameplay. Fucking great move that is, dude. Like,
Well,
oh,
at
what
least
a
it'll
riot!
be
What a
less
riot!
annoying.
Yeah, but it's very funny that it's like we're gonna take away or tone down the one thing that we had technically is now the 5 people that enjoyed the toilet humor are like, where are my pee pee poo poo jokes? Like, where have they gone? It's just rather comical. This game does nothing for me, like whatsoever. And this is coming from somebody who played Borderlands 2, liked Borderlands 2 enough, loved Tales from the Borderlands, absolutely adored that, and gave Borderlands 3 a shot when it came out. Because I was like, ooh, there's not been a new Borderlands for years. I'll give it a try. And it was mid as fuck. Um,
Yeah.
this game does nothing for me. I don't care.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want another state of play about this in spring, dude. Don't make me come back.
I totally disassociated that they said that there was gonna be a dedicated thing for it.
Why this? And also, can I just say, Hunter, you know that Borderlands 4 logo that they keep showing at the end? I felt
Yeah.
like that was a placeholder the first time they showed it, and they keep showing it at the end because it just kind of it's on a black background and it just kind of shows up. There's no splash screen, there's no
Yeah.
nothing. I'm just like, I keep seeing that. I'm like, is that the final logo? It just doesn't look right. Like every time, I'm like, I don't know why. I just get bad feelings from this game.
Bad vibes.
Just bad vibes. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that I just do not trust Gearbox to make a good video game at the moment. They make fine video games, they're all right, but the problem is it's like it's not 2011 anymore, and they're still making those
Yeah.
2011 games, and we know they're not going to come up with as good a villain as Handsome Jack was. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
He was the only reason to play Borderlands 2, really. And I know you're not going to beat him because your last attempt was fucking twin streamers, dude. Like, oh my god.
Ugh.
And I don't care. I love Max Mittelman to death, dude. Even he can't save a bad villain. Even he can't save a bad villain.
It's true.
Anyway, let's talk about a game that still looks fantastic. Split Fiction is coming out in, again, not too long to wait for that one. It's coming out within the next couple of months. This game still looks fantastic. I'm still pissed off that Cal got it on the fantasy draft. I'm still actually annoyed that
Yeah,
he
it does look
literally
really
got
good.
it and then
Like,
dipped. Like, what the fuck is this?
it does look really good. Looks like it'll be a pretty natural evolution of everything they were trying with It Takes Two.
Yeah. I know some people are a bit disappointed that they're not taking a bigger, diversion. I think that people think, this is very much, we'll get to Saros later, but this genuinely does feel like, a sequel in all but name, where this is like
Yeah.
the successor to It Takes Two. But I sit there and I'm like, no, this looks fantastic. And the bits that I didn't necessarily gel with of It Takes Two, like it was the main story. The plot
Yeah.
of It Takes Two of the divorce, the parents going through a divorce and having to listen to them bicker the whole time while a horny book screams at you that you should love each other. That bit I didn't care about, but the gameplay looks super fun. Whereas this one, the idea of being
You
shot.
describing it that way almost sounds like some kind of side story in Persona.
Yeah, that's it, doesn't it? Yeah. It's a JRPG side quest, dude. Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is that's what happens. Is Cloud,
Yeah.
Tifa, and Barrett get chucked into a horny book and have to come to terms with what's happening. But yeah, the idea of Split Fiction being like It Takes Two, but having a plot that I actually seem to be more interested in, of having authors stuck into their own worlds, is a more interesting concept. So I'm like, hell yeah, rock with it. I do not doubt Joseph Fares and his team at Hazelight now at this point. They have not made a bad game. They just haven't.
Yeah, there's no reason to doubt, really.
Brothers is
Like,
fantastic. A Way Out is
oh, it was
fantastic.
really
It
good.
Takes Two is brilliant. There is not a bad game. They have not made a bad game.
Like, I think the worst crime that you could assign to one of these is maybe taking too long.
Yeah.
Like, a way Out for me was a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, I think that the final 25% of the game could have been cut, but it's still, I loved it. I still had a great time
It
playing
was still
it.
really good, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let him cook. Again, I think this game's gonna be great, and I like, again, making like something different. Co-op games you rarely see them. You rarely see them,
Yeah.
especially in this form. So just have a studio that's dedicated to that and does such a good job.
Yeah, and does it really well.
Fantastic. After Split Fiction, we got a Dark Pictures game, Directive 8020. This was the horror block.
I forgot that Dark Pictures was a thing
Dude,
for a little while. Because they took a break to make the Query and then that Until Dawn. Or were they even
no, they didn't even
directly
make the Until
responsible?
Dawn
Yeah, okay.
port. And rumor is the
So,
Until Dawn sequel, they're not working on it either. Sony brought that to somebody else, so it's like they're like, But I thought it was interesting, this trailer, because at first I was like, oh, it's kind of, just your classic kind of sci-fi horror. I was like, it wasn't really scary. Like, that trailer wasn't scary really. When the monsters weren't really like creepy that
for
much.
the
I was like,
first little bits, I was sitting there waiting for it to be like the drop of, oh, this is an alien game.
yeah, it did, yeah, very much so.
and then it was like, oh, it's a Dark Pictures game. And I was like, all right.
I don't. When it said, I was like, oh, Directive 820, I'm like, oh, cool. And it said a Dark Pictures game. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, for the love of God, scrap the Dark Pictures as a brand, because I don't think there's been a good Dark Pictures game, so don't do it. Like, you should have just called it Directive 820 and gone, okay, cool, that's it,
Yeah, and you could have said just
from the creators of the Dark
Dawn.
Pictures game and Until the Dark Pictures anthology, and until, because it's just, there's not been a good one. And every time that they go slightly above average is when they're not making them. You know what I mean? Like, the Quarry was slightly better, not a Dark Pictures game. Like, they bounce a bit.
Every time that someone will tout Supermassive as a thing, usually it'll be from the makers of Until Dawn
And The
and
Quarry.
The Quarry, not
Yeah.
Until Dawn and Man of
Dark
Medan.
Pictures, Man of Medan. Yeah, like my
Yeah.
God, like no.
Uh,
But you know, as Dark Pictures games go, it looked better than the other ones a little
maybe
bit.
this one
Maybe
will
this
be
is
better because they've had some time away from, you know, because it's still it's still even been a while since The Quarry, so they haven't been on a constant churn of these things yet.
yeah, totally, totally.
Like, I think this one stands a better chance of being good than if they drop a trailer for one that's coming out in a year, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. No saving Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. Could not
No.
give a monkeys about this. I am not 12 years old.
Yeah,
Um,
precisely.
I was watching it. It's like again, I don't know if the love for Five Nights at Freddy's comes from, hey, were you 12 years old when the first one came out and you liked game theory? Like, is that the, like, oh, is that still the audience? It's 12-year-olds and people that grew up with it? Because I sit there and I go, oh, these stupid 12-year-olds. I'm like, when did the first one come out? Was it 2013 or something like that?
Uh, it's like it was 2013, maybe 2014.
Yeah, it was like, we were old
Summertime
enough
of one of
we were
those.
old
And
enough where if we were stupid enough, we could have been in that category. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I sit
if
there
I
acting like I'm like stupid
had less
kids
of
on
a
my
spine.
stupid kids on a pedestal where I know that I was in the age demographic where I could have been a stupid kid that
Oh yeah,
was
I was in
part
the
of it.
age demographic too because the kids around me were bothering me about it at school because they were like, "Oh, you like video games and you're creepy." So
Damn, that's crazy.
I was like, "No, I don't care about these games. Leave me alone."
But I just sit there and I go, like, well, fucking. Oh well, yeah, yeah. I guess the only thing that I can give these games is the last one that came out that was a PS was like being shown off. At least it looks like that they've learned to make some actual video games. Like that's what these
They've
look
learned
like
how to
now.
walk.
Yeah.
They've added that
So
great new
fair
gameplay
play, I
innovation.
guess. Fair play. They look like video games now instead of just fucking camera watching simulators. So cool, I guess. Not into it really. The Midnight Walk was also shown. At this
This
point,
looks
I
cool. I
was
like
horrored
it.
out though. At this point, I was like, oh, here
Yeah,
we go.
I like this one's art style. It's cool to see that it's when they say the beginning of May is when
Hmm.
this comes out. I will
Yeah.
probably be too busy playing Expedition 33 at the time.
Yeah.
So, but I will be looking forward to trying it out eventually.
Hmm. Next up, Darwin's Paradox.
I wasn't expecting Konami to just come out with some random new game and it look kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like I think this look neat. Looks like a fun little thing to try around.
they're really trying to get back into making video games, which is interesting.
Yeah, and this is like not just the, easy collection of your old stuff or remake of something that's gonna pop off for you like Metal Gear Solid 3.
Speaking of,
So
do you think they're waiting for 3 to be released before they do you think that's what's keeping Collection 2 from existing, Hunter, at this point?
I think maybe like
Because they're gonna make
it,
it.
it-
They're gonna make
yeah,
Collection 2.
surely they obviously, but it's a little annoying because I wish they were to just but it's whatever. Like if collection or if Delta comes out and then like the next thing whatever the next thing that showing off games does will announce
Yeah,
the collection too. I'll be like, ah, yeah, they were just holding it, but you know,
we'll see.
but they're just yeah.
Warriors Abyss. I don't even remember this one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
This was the Dynasty Warriors roguelike.
No, fucking shoot me.
I guess
That's two things I
go
don't
for
care about being fucking blended
yeah,
together. My God,
yeah,
no.
good for Dynasty Warriors fans, I guess.
Oh God, that sounds wonderful. Uh, Then we had Onimusha Block, Onimusha 2 HD. Again, another game where we got a trailer and they didn't show gameplay, and you're like, why? And then they like literally a couple of weeks
Yeah,
later showed it and gave it a date.
it was literally the week before Capcom did their little thing where
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, Capcom stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, I never watched these because you never tell me anything substantial."
And they showed a
And
trailer that
like,
was just a cinematic,
I
and then
don't
went, "It's
understand why
coming
if they
in
were gonna show
2020."
this at all,
Yeah,
that you'd hold the date for a week.
Dude, my favorite part was, yeah,
They
it's
kind
coming
of
in
showed you that it existed
2025, and
last
then
week, and
a
then
week later, it's like,
you know we're
here's the
like,
date.
hey, but this looks cool. I think that it coming out in like May or whatever indicates to me that this is perhaps an Ace Attorney collection situation like last year, where they're going to put out 2 and then 3 before the new one comes out next year.
Yeah,
So that's pleasing. All of the quality of life things that they'll be adding to 2, like analog control and uh, on the fly weapon switching was one,
yeah,
will make it a better way to play, I suspect.
yeah. We'll have to see, I guess. Um,
Yeah. And then they showed gameplay for the new one
yeah,
too. Yeah, and that I wasn't expecting to see gameplay for this one so soon, honestly. I was expecting that to take a little while
it's a
longer.
good sign
But
of it coming out maybe sooner, maybe
yeah,
next year than later.
like I could see it
Although
like if
saying
they
that, the
keep
next game that we're going to talk about, we saw gameplay of very early, and it's still not out for months. So
that's that's very true, but I like the way that the combat in the new one looks.
yeah,
The pace of it is interesting. I think that it looks kind of it's definitely not as fast as like a Devil May Cry, but I don't think it's as slow as like a Souls kind of. It's
mhm,
kind of like at the pace that Sifu was off of the just looking at it kind of deal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like that the environment apparently is something that can come into play with like the blocking with the table and stuff.
Hell yeah. Um, Up next, Metal Gear Solid Delta. We got to see that trailer that leaked the week prior, yet again. If you haven't already, that game is coming out later this year in August
August like the 28th,
28th.
I think
Yeah,
is what they said. Yeah.
which is, again,
Which
that's way later than I thought it would actually come out. If I'm honest with you, I thought that was going to be like a June game. If I'm real with
yeah,
you,
I don't know. But
um,
it, I
I think
don't
the game's
really.
done. I think that's just a date that
Yeah,
they've
I feel
decided
like they
on.
could put it. I feel like they could put it out any time that they felt like. They just
Yeah,
August is what they chose, which fair enough, I guess. This trailer is very much one of those. Seems like it's appealing to people who already played
I
the
didn't watch it.
original
I
game.
saw
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing and I was like, I've still not played any Metal Gear. I'm not watching this because I'm like, at this point I've seen enough of this game and I know that it's going to get into spoiler territory at this point. So I just
yeah, yeah.
stopped.
They've
I didn't watch it.
they were they show you like every boss that you fight. Just about. It very much was, hey, you people who already played it, look at all your favorite characters and how they look now, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, it's very pleasing to me, I guess, but also like, don't show this to people who don't know.
It's interesting, right? I mean, we got some good information here, the Ape Escape minigames back and stuff like that. For only if you're on PC and PS5, though. If you're on Xbox, you get Bomberman. Unlucky. Um, which is going to be funny if it is just the exact same minigame, but they just replaced the apes with
Just little Bombermans. That'd
Bombermans.
be
Yeah,
funny. Yeah,
I assume that's what they've done. Like, then I don't
yeah.
feel like they're going to do
I
anything
don't
else.
think they're. Yeah, but um, they're doing the same stupid pre-order, get the stupid tier to play it 2 days early kind of deal, and I don't approve of that. And
It's
they're
just it's the new video game
they're
practice that I really
I
dislike.
hate it. I hate it
Everybody
so
does it
much.
now.
Yeah,
Every
it's
Xbox
dumb.
game has it on Game Pass, and I think this is the
Oh,
worst part is
gross.
because obviously Game Pass does not make money and it's a load of horse shit. We all know this. It's the best value in
Yeah,
gaming because no one makes any fucking money off of Game Pass, and they've done it with everything now. They did it with Star. The first one that I properly noticed it on was Starfield. That's the first one I properly noticed it on. But they've done it on everything since. They have done it on they did it on Indiana Jones last year. They've done it on Avowed just where it's like, hey, this game's coming out on a Tuesday, but if you give us money for, even if you're on Game Pass, if you give us $30, we'll let you play it the Friday before. So I'm paying
yeah,
$30 to get access to my rented copy early.
yeah.
Okay, that
Silly,
seems kind of silly.
but But on the flip side of that annoying business practice, their like deluxe costume bundle that I will also not be buying because I don't like them. Their pick for costumes is pretty tickling though. Like there's one where in the original game you could get like a crocodile hat where it was just like literally a
Yeah,
crocodile
yeah.
head that he would wear to blend in. They have a camo suit that's just the rest of the crocodile now
That's quite funny.
that
That's quite funny.
made me laugh. Or like there's one that's like a solid gold he looks
Hmm.
like a if Snake was an Oscar trophy or something. I was
That's
like,
funny.
ah, okay, these are fun at least.
Yeah, costumes always make me laugh because they always add them as like pre, and I don't know why. I'm always a stickler where I'm like I don't like using costumes ever, rarely in these games, especially if I'm on a first
Well,
playthrough. So I'm like, it's like
the
when
thing with
Persona's
Metal Gear
like
Solid,
Persona's like here's the 6 million costumes that you can unlock or with Metaphor, and I'm like that's
yeah,
nice. I'm never touching any of these.
yeah.
Very
The thing with
rarely.
Metal Gear Solid 3 is that you're constantly switching because of the camo suits are blending into the background and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, none of
it's
them
there's
are.
no
Solid Gold
yeah
Snake is not blending into
yeah
shit.
like it there should be a gameplay element where that drops your camo index to -100.
Yeah. But we'll see how it does. Still slightly optimistic for that being good. I still don't know if I'm going to pick it up personally. I've got the Metal Gear collection. I still feel like I should probably play it the way it originally was.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because I've already bought it. It doesn't make in my head. I'm like, am I really going to pay full price for a remake of one of those things when I've already got the three of them in a package I can play on the same console? Like it's one of those weird ones, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
feel you.
it's interesting. Next up, Hell Is Us.
I forgot that I had already seen this game
Same.
once, and I
Same.
remembered. Oh, right, this is that. Kind of like it seemed like it was. The vibe is kind of like Death Stranding and Returnal esque.
Yeah. I was like, indifferent was my thing,
Yeah,
really.
it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, it could be cool, I guess. Not really sure.
Next up,
It's one of the. Yeah, I
sorry,
didn't really
did
have
you want to?
much
You
more.
could.
I was just saying it was one of those ones that I don't think I would know how I felt about it until was given an opportunity to try it or something. You
Fair
know?
enough. Uh, Next up, Lies of P Overture. Lies of P is getting its expansion that it was promised ages ago. We knew this was coming. It's getting a DLC. Looks to be an epilogue to the original game. Uh, Lies of P is so good. Like Lies of P is a very good Souls-like. If you want to play a Souls-like that isn't from FromSoft, that is the game to play. I think Lies of P is fantastic. More Lies of P is not a bad thing. Everything that I see, I'm like, hey, that looks pretty cool. I'm hoping that they maybe will do a Game of the Year package, kind of bundle them both together in a physical, because I played it on Game Pass and then never got back to it. So if they were like, hey, here's a complete edition physical, and I'll probably pick that up. Like that would be something that I'm like, oh, cool, I'll pick that up. Why not? Go
I,
for it.
I like I liked his wintertime outfit.
Yeah,
It looked
the
spiffy.
the art design on Lies of P is just stellar. It's really good. Like everything in that game looks fantastic, and I'm sure this will be excellent as well as they move on to whatever they're doing next in that universe. Uh, Whichever fairy tale they will try and put their twist on next. If I remember correctly, I
Yeah.
can't remember. Is it? I don't remember. I feel like there was a tease for the Wizard of Oz at the end of
Oh.
Lies of P. Um, which would make sense. Lies of D, I guess, would make sense if they were going to go with
Yeah.
that for a future title. I think that's also very funny considering you've had the whole Wicked thing recently, like the like
That would
it's
be
kind
a
of back in the
humorous bit of
zeitgeist. It's a bit like
serendipity. Yeah.
yeah, just a bit more in the zeitgeist, and then when it comes out in a couple of years, it'll be like oh yeah, it's kind of back in the culture a little bit. But hey, we'll see when that comes out later this year. Dreams of Another was a little smaller project.
Yeah, this was that indie kind of like you shoot things to
It was
materialize
very
them.
funny to me. It was like I don't know why, but it was like it reminded me of like early like 2010s when a load of 2010s when a load of indie games were coming out and stuff like that. and a lot of the dude bro people were like, "Why can't I just shoot people?" Like this just was like this looked
Yeah,
originally
yeah.
where it's like an indie game was like, "Oh, look at this," and then whip out the AK. Like, like that's what it was like.
Yeah.
Initially, it was just like, what if an indie game was just like, yeah, what if the solution is just shooting everything with an AK-47?
It was very funny, but as far as like I kind of got a little bit of like the unfinished Swan
Yeah,
was yeah, where that game was like the blank white canvas and you threw little black paint everywhere to, you know,
yeah, yeah.
materialize the world. This looks like the same kind of deal, except just, dreamlike fog being shot at to materialize. I
Yeah, yeah.
thought seems neat. I'd be willing to give it a shot when it comes out.
Next up, we made this happen. Days Gone Remastered announced. Uh, looks like Ben got stuck remaking the game they weren't allowed to
Make a sequel
make a sequel
too.
to. Yeah, it's the standard. It's the same as Horizon. It's the same as uh, Death Stranding, Ghost of
Ghost.
Tsushima.
Yeah.
Pay $10, get the extra content and a PS5 native version if you want. PS5 Pro enhanced if you care for that. Um, it just makes me laugh. Really, you can tell they're running out of games to do this for. Like, what other games do they have? God of War, I guess.
I guess.
They're running
Yeah.
out, and it's like they get dumber and dumber because these later gen ones, you can already play Death Stranding at 60 FPS highest resolution on the PS4 version because they gave it a patch. So it's like, what is the point of this? Just why?
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly silly.
But hey, if they release a physical for it, maybe go and buy it. Go and buy it if you want to show them that they fucked up not making a sequel. Go and
Yeah.
support it, I guess.
This might be
Uh,
one I actually get out of spite, if nothing else.
I mean, everybody should own Days Gone because of the PS Plus collection from PS5.
It's true.
So it's a $10 upgrade for basically everybody that owned a PS5 for the first 18 months of the console's life. So, hey, if you feel like playing Days Gone again, you've got another way to do it. Another platinum trophy if you're one of those sickos. I'm not one of those sickos. Not because I don't want the platinum trophy, but because I don't want to play Days Gone. Next up, Stellar Blades getting yet another collaboration. This time with Nikki Goddess of Victory, which I have no fucking clue what that is. Hunter, am I washed?
That's this developer's other game.
Oh, is it? Cool.
Yeah, it's like a mobile
Ah, there
game.
you go.
I don't really I have
When
a
I saw
friend who
Nikki,
plays
the
it, but I
first thing
don't
I
really
was
know
like,
the details.
I'm like, bro, is that Infinity Nikki game way different than I thought it was? I thought that was just like a dress up game. You know what I mean? The Goddess of
I think
Victory.
I think there's been a couple of people who were got by that, but no, I've got a couple of friends who play the other game here, but I don't really know what the deal is.
Yeah, interesting though. More Stellar Blade content for all you Stellar Blade sickos out there. It's also yet to play that. Still have it in my backlog. Will I get to it? Who knows? Next up, we had some updates from PlayStation regarding the PS Plus collections for both Extra and Premium. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage will be going onto PlayStation Plus Extra at no extra cost for both episodes, starting in February with episode 1 and then coming back with May with episode 2.
I didn't remember if they had guaranteed episode 2
They've
yet,
guaranteed both,
so
yes. So they have
so I
guaranteed both.
forgot. I didn't remember, so I was sitting there going like, "Wouldn't it be funny if they
And
just
if
suckered a
you're,
bunch of
yeah,
people in and made you pay for the second
that is very
half?"
funny. And if you are just a PlayStation Plus Essential member, you get a 10% discount on the game just for having a PS
Oh,
Plus
that's
subscription
nice.
if you want to own it yourself. That's cool. Here's the thing, right? When I see something like this, I'm like, oh, that's cool because I wasn't going to buy it. And I think that's the issue. I think this screams to me that sales on this game are not looking too hot so far. When something like this
Yeah,
happens,
yeah,
this tends to make me go, oh, this game's coming in lower than they think. They're trying to get people in on this. Like,
it's amazing how the tone of this can be different for so many things because it's
yeah.
like, a couple of years ago when Sea of Stars was like, "Hey, we're coming in launching in the PS Plus collection
And
thing."
Game
It was like,
Pass. Yeah.
yeah, we were like, everyone was like, "Rad, cool, etc." Game did really well,
Hmm.
and this is like, oh, yikes, maybe maybe you're not going to do so hot.
I think it's just the genre. I think this genre,
That too.
this genre's a really hard one that it has. It's a niche. It has its audience, and I think to me, it's obviously not screaming. Like it's obviously I don't like as someone who's a fan of the genre. I was just like wrong time, wrong place for me right now. I'm not really gonna pick this up just
Yeah.
because I've got other things that I want to play, or it's not the right time. I want to wait for it to be finished or whatever. There'd be a part of me that's like, I can guarantee that there'll be a chance that I buy it in February, play the first episode, and by the time the full game is out, there's a discount, and it's already gone on sale, and so everyone else is playing it for cheaper.
That's fair.
Um, I think it's a hard one, and I want this game to succeed. Every time Don't Nod makes a game, I want to sit there and I'm going, I hope this game does well.
Yeah,
But
even the ones that I'm not even specifically like interested in getting from the jump. Like I was hoping last year that their Ghosts of New Eden or whatever it was called did well, despite whatever strange venture it might have been.
I'm also sitting there and I'm like, Lost Records is interesting. It's like, but it feels like it almost feels to me like it's almost too similar to what Don't Nod has done in the past, where it's like it's a story about teenage girls who end up with some kind of weird kind of phenomenon evolving time, and then 20 years later they're coming back to it. It's like it's very much it's like it feels like they're reading from the same hymn sheet in a lot of ways, where I'm sitting there going, oh cool, it's another one of these. I've played one of these. I've played multiple of these. Square Enix has gone behind your back and taken what you've done and made multiple more of these, but like we've like I'm like I there's a part of me that's just like, can we have one of these that isn't just about a girl in their late teens, early 20s that has a supernatural experience? Although saying that, I hate Life is Strange 2 the most. So what do I know, Hunter? What do I know?
Tell Me Why was really good,
That
and
was
that was
fantastic. Tell me why it
yeah,
was fantastic.
and like the
Um,
supernatural element of that was, I would wager, very pared down since it was more of just a communication between the two leads.
yeah, totally. But I don't know. I'm hoping this game does all right. I really do. Um, but we'll see. I'll give it a try. I'll download it.
Yeah, we
We'll give it a
playing
try.
it for impressions now.
I think that's the issue as well, though. Like, how many people is this going to put off buying it? Like, if I pre-ordered it on PlayStation, I'd 100% be calling up Sony right now and go, "Give me my refund." Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. Anyway, it's out next week. If you want to try episode 1, episode 2 is out in May. It was originally or April. Sorry, I think it was originally March, and now it's in April. Um, Oh well, I think each episode is roughly about 5 hours, 6 hours. They're longer episodes. The full game is
okay.
about the length of a Life is Strange. So picture you're getting 2.5 episodes now, 2.5 episodes later. Good, good, cool. Um, Also, they a couple of other games coming. Blueprints and Abiotic Factor, two indie games. Blueprints, uh, I heard quite a bit of
It
buzz about
looks
Blueprints.
Yeah, it looks in the same kind of cut from the same cloth as like Superliminal
Hmm.
or Maquette, that kind of thing. It looks neat for sure.
Yeah, an Abiotic Factor is a co-op kind of game. You kind of co-op indie affair. Again, it's nice to see these day one games not screaming at any of them. Like I'm like, not. I think the days of huge gets on these is very much over. I don't think you're ever gonna, the COVID bubble has burst. You're never gonna see those like, oh, and here's this massive game coming, like day one to Game Pass and stuff like that. I think we're kind of over that hill now.
It's it seems like something that happens like once a year for me,
Yeah,
where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And like I don't think I'm counting Lost Records as part of that
no,
this
definitely not.
time. It's just kind of incidental.
Yeah,
But I feel like later in the year I could benefit from, indie game that I was looking forward to also popping up here, so I don't have to, so I can hold my money for a physical version, hopefully.
yeah, totally. Um, as for the classics catalog, more games are coming to the Classics catalog. I don't know why they keep announcing this as if like it's a fucking huge deal. Patapon 3 and Armored Core 1 to 3. Armored Core 1 to 3 is kind of cool. There you go if you're an
Yeah,
Armored
that
Core
is
fan.
neat, especially if like a bunch of people hopped in on the latest one. They can be like, oh, maybe see the humble beginnings of it and be like, oh, this is old. I'm gonna leave probably.
Patapon 3 is the only one that hasn't had a remaster, so that's nice. You've got the whole trilogy now of Patapons. I'm sure Greg Miller's fucking thriving. Um, I don't know. To me, it's like when they do these things, it's like, and now here's an update on the Classics collection. They show 4 fucking games, and one of them's Patapon. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? You know, wouldn't it be really
Yeah,
cool for them to go, guys, over the next 4 months, over the next 3 months, over the next 4 months, over the next 6 months, we're planning on bringing you, and they just go, hey, look, Armored Core trilogy, Patapon 3, Ratchet trilogy. Like, they just show a load of stuff. Show me what's coming over the next 6 months. I don't care. I don't need to sit there on bated breath going, oh, what PS1 game are they going to give me this month, please? Like, you know, like, stop being, like, stop being so frugal with these releases and just, you know, just show me, you know, what are you doing? Where's my Ratchet trilogy? Where's my Jack and Daxter? You know, actually, you know, where are the rest of the Jack and Daxters? Because you did one. Where's Jack 2 and 3? I was expecting Jack 2 and 3 to show up. They did Jack 1 with Sly
yeah,
2
it's
and
weird.
3. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. It feels like they're always, like I say, they're always, you know, trying to be extremely frugal unless they're PSP games. For some reason, they love giving us the PSP games.
Or
They were
it's
like,
just siphon filter
yeah,
all of it.
you're getting all the siphon filters. You're getting Daxter for the PSP. You're getting Jack and Daxter: The Lost Frontier. That game's garbage, but you can have it. Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, Secret Agent Clank. Have all these. What's that Ratchet one? Fuck you, bro. You got Secret Agent Clank. Enjoy
And
the
it's like,
fucking rhythm game in level 2 that's dog shit. It's that garbage. I remember it. I haven't played the game since I was 8 years old. I remember it. Ugh. It's just
yeah,
weird.
it is weird because like they won't let Bend make a new game anymore. It's not allowed, but they gave you the entirety of their most well-known series on like day zero of this service.
I don't know. I think it's really funny that it's like, just make those deals. You know, you're happy to make those deals with Disney and nobody else. Get the Crash games on there. Get the Spyro games on
Yeah.
there. Like, get some stuff on there. Microsoft is obviously very willing to put anything anywhere now. Literally, just go. Hey, you know those PS1 games that we technically own the part of the publishing rights to? Can we publish them again? like, can we?
Yeah, like yeah, like I'm sure an announcement of like the Neversoft Spider-Man coming to this thing would get a bunch of people for like,
Treyarch Spider-Man
you know,
2
yeah.
on the new PS2 emulator? Are you kidding me, dude? Like, genuinely. Or just, there's so many PS2 games. We're not stingy on the PS2 games. Even on first
It's
party, like I say, you've still
yeah.
got the whole Ratchet trilogy and Deadlocked. You've still got Jack 2 and 3. You've still got the entirety of the God of War trilogy. You've got, like, the old Gran Turismos. They've not done any
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah,
Like,
you could potentially, and this is less of a issue since there are HD versions of like Final Fantasy 10 and 12, but if you wanted
yeah,
the PS2 versions of those for people who think that Titus's face is weird in the HD version,
Kingdom
you know.
Hearts. What
Yeah.
a really fun time if you were to actually partner with Square and go, listen, we know you guys have, have done the final mix, remasters for every possible platform under the sun. Why don't we use this as an opportunity to publish the original versions of 1 and 2? Not the
Yeah.
final mixes, they're just the original versions. Have there be a way for them to be, you know, preserved? Just like cool stuff like that. It's just like, you know, alternatives are fun, you know, even if it is a game that's already on there or already has a HD remaster. Cool.
Yeah.
Give us the original. I don't care. You're telling me people aren't going to go, oh, yes, no, I do not want another version of Resident Evil 4. They'll buy it. They're sickos, dude. They'll buy it.
This is very true.
There'll be there's definitely at least one sicko who's like, I hate the remaster. I want this on the PS2 emulator. There will be a sicko that will want it like that. But hey, we'll have to see what happens with the classic catalog in the future. And then a couple of final games. Tides of Annihilation.
Uh, this one looks really cool to me. Very similar to Lost Soul Aside, whereas just looks like a really cool action game. A lot of it seems like the elements of the gameplay kind of said Bayonetta 3 to me, but in a
Yeah.
way that's hopefully better, more implemented better
Yeah, yeah.
with like the how in that one you could summon the demons to attack and
Mm.
whatever, where I only ever did that at the end of combos because they were very slow and I didn't like watching them for the rest of that. I think that um that's going to come off substantially better here.
Yeah, yeah.
IGN put up a like 10-minute gameplay
Mm.
video for this the following day, and that looks really good. It looks even like because this is another one where people are like, "Oh, is it a hack and slash action game or is it a Souls like?" And looked more like a hack and slash to me, and that gameplay video definitely removes any doubt.
Okay. Well, there you
Yeah,
go then. Pretty cool. Next up was Metal Eden, a online PvP shooter thing that will probably last roughly about 2 seasons, like every other one of
was
the
it
show.
was it actually an online?
I thought
Because
it looked online. Is it not online?
I thought it did, but then when I was looking, because when I watched the
Right,
state
I'm
of
looking this up
when
now.
I
If so,
rewound
that's the
it to the
worst. That's the worst. That's the actual. Oh, do not play the trailer, please. Um, if so, that is like
because
the
on a second
worst.
watch it looked like just a regular quick first person shooter.
Right, I'm looking this up. It's published by Deep Silver. Blah 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 blah. Dive into cyber against the machine forces that protect the secrets. Oh my god, is this actually a single player video game? Ladies and gentlemen, that might actually. I'm gonna go out on a limb then and say that this might quite possibly be the worst trailer for a video game I've ever seen, where it did not get its genre across at all.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it just yeah. I
there was
guess
some
it's
because there was something about the way that like they were because this trailer had like narration and stuff.
so it's like sci-fi Doom then. Sci-fi Doom.
Yeah, basically. Which I guess if you want more shooters like that, then neat.
Yeah, just be aware it's being published by Deep Silver, so quality may vary.
Yeah,
Um,
that one's definitely a coin flip.
uh, Mind's Eye was the penultimate reveal.
I I didn't know what this game was trying to do.
Yeah, same. It wasn't doing anything for me. It's being published by
I was like,
IO. It's a
the
story-driven
Hitman?
action adventure thriller set in the future. I don't know. To me, this like kind of screamed, and again, kind of harsh a little bit, but it was giving me vibes of like, yeah, we know video games. Have you seen that Cyberpunk, dude? We've seen those kind of videos. Have you seen video games before? It gave me David Cage vibes. A little bit, just a
Oh,
little bit.
oh
There's a
no.
tiny little bit of, we want to make a video game. We want to make, a narrative that's so fucking impactful. And I'm like, you better not, you David Cage hack. You better not.
Uh,
Don't
oh,
do it. I hope it's
I
better.
don't know if yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far. I just it also just didn't do anything for me because it looked like I don't know uh what if Grand Theft Auto had body modifications or something like that.
Players Jacob is a former soldier with a mysterious neural implant who is suffering from memory loss and flashbacks. It literally is. It's fucking cyberpunk. It is basically cyberpunk. It's the plot of cyberpunk, basically. Um, yeah, it looked generic in my opinion. That's what I was like. Felt like I've
Yeah.
seen that before. I've seen it. Uh, but hey, final reveal of the show. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. Finally,
Yeah.
some food, some good fucking food. Saros was announced. Housemarque's new game. A spiritual successor, I guess, to Returnal. It is basically a sequel in all but name.
Yeah.
New universe,
Um
new story, but the gameplay of Returnal, essentially.
yeah.
called
The beginning of the
Saros.
trailer had me going for a second because I thought it was Death Stranding for a minute. Because
Well,
there was a beach,
as soon,
there was a
yeah,
beach, and there was a actor that I vaguely recognized.
I was like, oh,
So I
it's
was
Rahul
assuming it
Kohli.
was Kojima,
Yeah, I was like, oh, Rahul
and
Kohli.
then and then he started talking in a way. I'm like, no, wait a second.
As soon as he said something about dying and coming back, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh shit, it's Returnal. Like,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
here. This is
exactly.
it. And so when it was said Saros at the end, and then obviously with the balls of light at the end of it in the enemy's eye, I was like, oh yeah, definitely Returnal too. And then when I saw it was called Saros, I'm like, okay, so is it Return? Like, is this like? And then when he was like, yeah, it's the spiritual successor of what made. Obviously, Returnal is very much standalone in its narrative. Um,
Yeah, can't really do anything to follow up on that story
So
wise,
that's
but
fair enough. But they could,
uh,
I like that it's called Saros. There's if you look into the meaning of Saros and the actual, it's to do with like the lunar cycles. So it's like
yeah.
again, it's
So it
still got
being an
that
eclipse is pretty
cyclical
metal.
nature to it,
Yeah,
which is fun. I mean, they could have 100%. They could have. I like
and they
that it's
could
not
have
called
called it
Returnal 2. They
Returnal
could have called
too
it
if they
Returnal 2 if
wanted, but
they could have turned
they didn't.
Returnal into like almost like a Black Mirror kind of
Anthology kind of thing.
anthology series kind of thing where it's just like, but I'm glad that they didn't and it's called Saros. It's cool. I like Rahul
Yeah.
Kohli. I like what they're doing. It's a fucking sick trailer, to be honest. Usually I don't
Yeah, it
like
was.
these. Just do a 60-second cinematic and say it's coming in like a year. But because it's Housemark, I have faith in them that it's going to be a
Yeah, I
banger
have
anyway, so I
faith
don't
that it's
care.
gonna be. I think that they're gonna take all of the. So if Returnal was their Hades for all intents and purposes, this is very much gonna be like Hades too, where it was their best thing yet, and then they improved on it exponentially more,
Well, I think they're
seemingly.
taking on a lot of, feedback from the original Returnal. I think one of the things that a lot of people struggled with Returnal was there was no progress in death. Because, yes, you'd learn a little bit, you'd get knowledge, you'd take
Yeah.
knowledge with you, but there was no real progression in terms of, if you
Outside
didn't.
of defeating the
If you don't have the
boss.
initial
Yeah.
skill to do it, it's very much, just hitting a wall constantly until you actually get it. It's not like there's nothing you can really do about it other than get good and keep pushing. And that first boss especially, like if you get like I remember starting Returnal, uh if you new to the podcast, I had probably what might be considered the easiest playthrough of Returnal of anyone has ever seen. I literally went through the whole game going, huh, that's a skill issue, ladies and gentlemen. I beat it in like 10 hours or something ridiculous. Just because I got so fortunate with my drops and stuff like that. But that's the nature of these games, is if you get a good build, you can just kind of power through it all in one go, which is sick. Um, but that first boss, I remember dying to it the first time and then going, I've got to play for an hour to get back to that point. And it's
Yeah.
exhausting because, a whole run of Hades is 20 minutes, if that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So I'm hoping that, having that loop of, he mentions every time he comes back stronger. The idea of being able to build yourself up so that maybe you can do a Hades moment where
Yeah.
my guess is, Hunter, is unlike in Returnal, I think you might have to beat all the bosses in a row this time.
But maybe the run will be shorter
Or
or
maybe
something like
because
that.
you get that strong that the first areas just become a fucking breeze. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe, yeah.
because in Returnal, you could go and play the fight and bosses again, but you opened the gate that just let you teleport to the next area early.
Yeah, pretty much all you really had to do is,
Beat it once.
if you wanted to, you could pretty much just kind of build yourself up off of the first area and then choose where to go
Yeah,
as far as you were able to,
yeah, yeah.
kind of deal. But
Um,
they put out a thing on the blog or whatever,
they did
providing
indeed.
more details where I he's apparently hunting for somebody specifically rather than just answering a vague distress call. So that's a cool spin on it. The place is called Carcosa, which is a eldritch horror nerd is very very appealing to me. That's something that was
Yeah,
mentioned in The King in Yellow, which is like one of the stories that inspired Lovecraft, and it There's
And
another
the
one
original
from
Returnal was
way
all
back.
very, very Lovecraftian in its
Yeah,
designs as well. Um,
yeah. So leaning even further into that is very pleasing to me because the kind of stuff that just tickles me.
yeah, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to this. It, I, you know, I, it felt. It's nice to know that it's like, oh yeah, Housemarque's coming back. I'm like, that's cool. I also think it's very weird that with Intergalactic also happening, they are very similar in terms of premise.
Dude, the to be
And they'll be the
to be
same
kind
year
of
at
a
this rate. They'll be the
to be
same
kind of a
year.
hater, I hope that this game beats Intergalactic to the punch,
It
and
will.
then yeah, yeah, it will. And then I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I hope it like blows up exponentially, like compared to the reception that Returnal got, so that Intergalactic is being compared to it a bunch.
I know that they're going to release this game on just exclusively on PS5 and PS5 Pro to
Yeah,
start because they always do. But this would be one of those games where if you said to me that they were like, listen, we're going to launch it on Steam day and date, this would probably, if there was any PlayStation Studios game that was going to go day and date, I'd scream Saros because Returnal
yeah,
was so beloved on PC and was so beloved when it came out that it's like, this is just the kind of game where I'm like, I would just stick this out fucking everywhere that I could because it's going to be fantastic. It's going to do gangbusters. I think it's going to sell way better than Returnal does because I just think the word of
yeah,
mouth
yeah,
on Returnal is so strong. And if it is
yeah. I
more
feel like that's
accessible,
likely.
because you can build yourself up a bit more, I think, some of the people who were initially thrown off of Returnal and its extremely punishing gameplay loop will be like, hey, I will like this a lot more. And it also gives me a good excuse to at some point in the next year do a replay of Returnal because I've been meaning to replay
Yeah,
Returnal. And
and
this is a perfect excuse of, oh, hey, might as well play it this year before the next one comes out in 2026.
yeah.
Um,
It's gonna be amazing when we get to the end of this generation, and it'll turn out that Insomniac and Housemarque were the two MVPs of the generation.
I mean, I think that's brilliant, though. I think that
Yeah,
really
it
is
is
brilliant
like
to have a generation. Because don't get me wrong, I think the PS5 generation will probably go down in history as Sony's worst generation so far. Um,
yeah, probably.
maybe just if Intergalactic and Saros and if there's a couple of other games in the last couple of years, Ghost of Yote, Death Stranding 2, maybe it'll bump up above the PS3. It might sit there, like
Yeah, I don't think it.
PS5 above
I think
PS3.
above three
Um,
is its ceiling.
yeah, but to me, it's just crazy that it's like, the PS4 generation really was the generation of Naughty Dog, and the PS5 generation is the lack thereof. Is kind of really funny to me. It's
Yeah,
like it's just very funny that it's like, yeah, PS4, we literally had obviously the Nathan Drake collection straight away, The Last of Us Remastered straight away, Uncharted 4, The Lost Legacy, The Last of Us Part 2. And then it's like, let's look to yonder horizon on the PS5, and it's just more Last of Us ports. Oh, good. Nothing but good stuff.
but
Um,
no, yeah, it'll be great for them. This is just a really cool like story for Housemarque too
yeah.
in general because like they were almost down and out before Returnal.
Everyone laughed at them when they said that they were gonna start making AAA bigger projects. Everyone
Yeah,
was like, "Why would you do that?" And then they made Returnal, and then it just kind of shut everybody up. And it's like,
yeah,
hell yeah, I
and it's like they pivoted to that because what they were doing or what they had been doing stopped working as far as being viable for enough people weren't buying their subsequent twin stick shooter games and they're they tried some kind of multiplayer thing or
yeah,
started to. I don't remember
they cancelled it, didn't
exactly
they? I think
anymore.
yeah.
I don't remember anymore, but it's it's really cool to see them
But no, I mean,
get
I'll
an
be there
upward
day one
swing
this
like
time
this.
for sure. I'll be there day
Definitely.
one for Saros. Can't wait. I assume that it'll be out before Intergalactic. I'm pretty much certain that it'll be out before Intergalactic. If you were
Yeah.
to ask me, I think this is a first half of 2026 game. I think it'll probably end up in the same spot that Returnal ended up around March or April. That's probably where it'll end up.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
This is shot up to like one of my most anticipated games coming in the future now.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we sit there and it's like, the PlayStation slate has been a bit dire. I mean, if Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2 do come out this year, it's a good little pair of games to be having this year, to be honest.
It's the
Uh,
standard 2 games a year that we've been getting from
yeah,
this gen.
and I think that maybe there's a couple of surprises, and I hope they're not bad surprises. I hope we don't sit there and there's stuff that was originally scheduled for this year. I know for a fact internally Marathon and Fair Game Dollar Signs were scheduled for this year. So
Oh, that's not a surprise, that's a threat.
yeah, that's a threat right there. And just like, oh, what, you want to play Death Stranding 2? Or you're gonna have to sit through Marathon and Fair Games drama beforehand? I'm like, no, I don't want that. Please just cancel both of them silently and move on. But so many questions with Sony. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Housemarque's making another game and it's coming out in a year. Where are the games that have been announced? Where's Wolverine? What's happening with
I do
Wolverine?
wonder what's going on with that, because that feels like I feel like we might see that sometime in the summer.
We should.
Because, like, I don't remember if the leak from a while, but from after Spider-Man 2 said that it was 2026 or
It
not, but it
did. It said
feels
it was 26.
okay. Okay.
But it
So,
also said Venom was
but
25. Remember that? It said there was a
oh
Venom
no,
thing in
not
25.
I hope they can't that.
Same, to be honest. After Spider-Man 2, same.
I do not need more Venom
If
right now.
at the most that literally, it's like the most I would like DLC for Spider-Man 2. That's like the least. Like, if you have to do something, fine. Just do not do a $40 Venom game. Please do not do that.
I will not show up for that one.
I will, just to be angry. But yeah,
Ugh.
I just sit there and I look at the portfolio at the moment and I'm just like, at least you got Housemarque kind of spicing it up a little bit, with more interesting games. Hopefully Astrobot kicks them in the right direction a little bit.
Yeah.
More family games would be a fantastic thing, just because widening that portfolio a little bit, I saw I was listening to a bit of Kind of Funny earlier this week, and not to talk shit about people or anything like that, but I remember Tim Gettys was very much coming at it from the angle of, oh, it didn't sell that well or whatever, blah 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 blah. And my thing is, like, do we not remember that Sony came out and said that it was something ridiculous, like 80% of the people that played Astrobot didn't buy PlayStation exclusives? Like, they were new to that, like, because it was family people. It was like, yeah, so what if it only sold 3 million? If those are 3 million people that do not buy your regular PlayStation exclusives because they're people that just play Call of Duty and have bought something for their kid,
That's
that's
3
3
million
million new
people
people.
that
That's
you
new
aren't getting
people.
usually. Yeah, that's like 3 million people that didn't buy God of War.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. So it's like, it's the audience that matters, not
It's 3
necessarily the
million people
numbers.
who might buy God of War now.
Yeah. Or, I've always said this, where it's like, I'm a quote unquote PlayStation fan, in terms of, I grew up playing Crash, Spyro, Sly, Ratchet, Jack and Daxter, and I kept buying, my dad and whatever was a fan of Metal Gear, whatever, and he had the consoles and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I played some of the other IPs like God of War. Because I grew up on PlayStation, I went and I played all these other IPs. Why are people going to sit around and care about God of War or anything like that if they didn't grow up with, if they don't have the attachment really in the first place? There's no reason for kids to care about PlayStation other than it's a machine I can play Fortnite on at the moment. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
And maybe if Astrobot kicks that little spark into people, or, into kids, like, oh, that Uncharted level or that God of War level or something like that is cool, it at least gets them thinking about that stuff. From a business perspective, I can see that it's like, yeah, why do you think Nintendo works so fucking well? They get in your head where you play Mario as a kid, and then you get the brain rot and you buy anything Nintendo makes when you're 35. Like, that's just how that works, It's like,
Yeah.
you need games like Astro. You need your every decade Ratchet and Clank to get people to care when they're young, so that they look at stuff and go, hey, I like PlayStation, I'll give it a go. Because right now, who is going
Yeah.
to be the next generation playing PlayStation games? Or is it just going to be the dads that liked the dad games carry on? We're going to have to start making God of Wars about being a granddad? Is that what we're going to have to do? Because the demographics keep
Yeah,
going up?
yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of one time I went to a concert a couple years ago that was Less Than Jake, who is a like ska punk band that was, you know, their songs were appearing on like the old Tony Hawk games and stuff. So they're like bands that they're a band that my older brother listened to and that I listened to because of that. One of their opening acts was this, I think, I don't remember what their band was called, but it was very much their material appealed to a younger kind of crowd, like,
Yeah.
like 12-year-olds essentially.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's actually pretty genius to do that because, you get your parent that's going in for the, main act and they bring along their kid and who likes the opening people and maybe they drink in more of the later act as well.
Because that's the thing is, it's like, we joke, but it's like, the PlayStation 5 is 5 years old today. Like, not today, this year, sorry. 5 years, today, happy birthday! No, this year. The PlayStation 5 is 5 years old this year. There will be people who were 10 years old when the PlayStation 5 came out, who are now 15, who have now gone through a quite, quite a big development period of your life, right? You have basically gone from effectively a child to somebody who thinks they're an adult but really aren't. You're in that period of your life. It's a long period of your life. And then to think it as, it's like, if you've grown up on Switch, that means you've gone from, you've had all these fucking games, right, from Animal Crossing to all whatever. And it's like you've had this kind of massive, like, backlog of games. If you're a PlayStation fan when you were a kid between 2020 and 2025, it's like, congratulations, you've had Sackboy, One Ratchet and Clank, and now like in Astrobot. Like, it's like,
Yeah, especially if you're like a kid whose parents actually pay attention to the ESRB rating.
yeah, like you've gone from like 6 to 11. And it's like you've had like 3 games of stuff like of platformers that you'd actually care about if you're a PlayStation fan. So no wonder everyone's fucking playing Fortnite. There's nothing fucking else for you to play. Make some more family games, damn it.
Yeah.
Also, because I just like platformers. Give me my brain rot. I would like more stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like a Ratchet and Clank at a half a decade pace, please. Like that, is that too much to ask? Like
Every 5
every
years
five
instead of every
years?
10.
Yeah, like come on, man. Like, geez, Louise. I'm hoping that they've said that. I'm hoping that that's like the last thing that Ted Price has done is he's like, hey, that Ratchet and Clank game that was scheduled for 2029, let's just drag it to 27. Let's just pull it forward in dev. Let's just put a team on it, just a little bit. Like come the fuck on.
Slams his gavel and then hands in his
Disappears
notice.
into the ether. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our PlayStation Direct reactions review. It was all right. It was fine.
There were some cool things in it.
Yeah. But there's always, it left me wanting more, especially from a first party perspective. What's happening with Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2? Fuck it, even a fair game $sign, dude. Tell me what week I need to avoid this year, like tell me. But hey.
Yeah, like yeah, that's another thing. Like for a while it was until Concord came out, like a month before Concord came out was when the marketing for that started pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
And that's part of why it died so
Yeah.
quickly. Was because they were like CG teaser a year ahead of time and then we won't tell you anything about it until right before it's out.
Yeah.
That's
bizarre.
Not
Absolutely
a good move.
Bizarre. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll keep our eyes peeled on what Sony has planned for the rest of the year, I guess, as we move through 2025. I'm going to move our little random topic to next week, Hunter, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's fine.
Join us next week for Goofy Topic, along with first
pocket.
impressions of video games. That's something for us to keep in our pocket. If you did go into the timestamps below and went, hang on a minute, there's only 3. Got you.
Oops.
Hey. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But hey, anyway, all links are on screen right now. You can keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast if you want to do so. We're on Blue Sky. The other places you can find us somewhere, I'm sure. Like we said, next week we will have impressions of Avowed. We'll have impressions of Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. And we will also
I will have played a couple of things by then, probably.
Hunter will play video games. I won't have. I will literally do the bare minimum and show up to work, file my taxes, and walk away. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back next week for all of that stuff. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.